Hi everyone, let's talk about Pact, which I just did a full solo playthrough for. If you're wondering where all of the game and stuff is and want to know how it plays, that's the video for that. This is just my thoughts on it. The playthrough is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet. But what are my thoughts? So I'm always interested in new games from Bernd Eisenstein. Basically, from Peloponnese. I enjoyed other games from his, Order of the Gilded Compass and Alia Iacta Est, which is based off, and the Peloponnese card game, which is not the same game. It sounds very similar and it uses similar concepts, but does it in a really different and exciting way. There's a playthrough for that, actually. I don't think there is one for the base game, but the card game, I think it's like the second one I ever did. Anyway, regardless, I'm always interested in trying more of his games, and this is a very kind of interactive, not so much in a negative way, a very interactive game in that it's all about collaboration, but collaboration not always by choice. So the full multiplayer game, we have pact cards between all of the players, and we are trying to complete missions, which are just, have this particular combination of cards, and you can, manipulate things with your player powers and stuff, but you're generally recruiting new cards into your hand, playing those cards into your display, and then they can be played from your display to complete these missions. But you can use any number of cards from one of your neighbors. So you could potentially complete a mission with just one of your cards and loads of a neighbour's cards. You can't mix and match between the neighbours, but the card then goes between you. And if someone wants to use your display of cards, you have no choice in that. You have to let them do it. So there is that risk of, do I play these things to my display because it's making them... I want to build these things up so I can do these missions, because you can do missions yourself as well and get more points for them. It's 2 points for a mission you've done by yourself, whereas 1 point each for doing it with a neighbour. So there's a risk involved of, do I play these things out yet? Because am I giving them opportunities to do these things? But at the same time, I'm not losing out massively by letting them do that. And if you do 4 and then 6 missions each for a particular neighbour, you'll each get a bonus as well. And there are extra things you can put into the game as well. There's a dynamite card where, as you've got a lot of cards of the same colour in your display, you'll move up this track and you can either move back down it to reduce your requirements to complete missions, or you can place these, you can get these figures where you basically get an extra card. You have to play a load of cards of the same colour of the most recent card you did with a neighbour. So if I most recently did a white card, I would need to play initially 3, then 4, then 5 white cards to get a figure on top of that card. And that figure basically counts as an extra card just for me. So it's another point as if I'd done a card with a neighbour, but also if that puts me on the 4 or 6 mark for the bonus, only I'm getting it and not the neighbour. So there's additional things you can mix into the game as well as you get used to it. And there's mission cards in the multiplayer game as well that you pick any number of the 3 missions that you dealt at the start. If you complete them, you get extra points. If you don't complete them, you'll get punished by points as well. So the solo game, I'll say that, yeah, I think it's such a great idea, but I'll say that, yeah, it's not mean at all. And I do like that kind of interplay and keeping you on your toes of, am I helping or hurting by playing these particular cards to the display? Am I wasting my time by recruiting these cards because are these missions even going to be there by the time it's my turn again? And yeah, I'm fine with, multiplayer solitaire and complete live and let live. But I think I am okay with the level that it is in Pact. Rach, who I play pretty much all of my games with, is more kind of any considerations of being mean. She doesn't like people messing with her stuff in games, even if it's, using someone else's action space and having to give them a coin or something like that. She's very, very averse to that. So yeah, kind of knew going in that this might be an issue, and turns out, yeah, it was. She doesn't like that aspect of it whatsoever. But luckily, there is a solo mode of it where, in the 2-player game as well, you play with a dummy player and you can do pacts with him as well to, you still want the most points and he is scoring points as well by you doing missions with him, but yeah, whoever gets the most points wins in that. In the solo game, you have 2 dummy players, and so what you're losing in the solo game is that they will never use your cards to complete missions. you can use their cards as they build up their displays, and if it gets to their turn and they've got enough cards to do missions by themselves, they will do. And you're still trying to score the most points. And it's a very, very difficult solo game to win as well. I've found I haven't cracked it yet, but basically what we did is played the solo version together. We've done that a few times with solo games where it's just, well, we'll just make the decisions collaboratively, and I think it works really, really well. You can't do some things like the dynamite card and moving up that track in the solo game, but it does go from this very interactive experience to this puzzle of if I take these actions, whenever I recruit cards in there, they get to just complete a mission for free between them, and I haven't got any points out of that. So you want to kind of ration how many you're playing into the display so you can spin the game out a little bit longer, well, spin out the number of turns before you have to recruit again, because they're going to get some free stuff. But if you only play one card to your display, they get to complete a mission as well, so you can't just be spinning it out in that way, and every turn they get a new card in their displays. And so yeah, it is this kind of treading on eggshells puzzle that I don't want to leave missions out that I think they're about to complete. I want to draw cards that I can see, well, from their displays, they're only missing this single card. So if I can get that out there and then just complete the mission, I can use loads of their cards. You can use that thing that's in the multiplayer game to your advantage, that it only has to be one of your cards and any number of their cards. And that's the better balance, really, isn't it? You're still getting the same amount of points, but you haven't really had to put as much work into it. So there's still going to be more cards in your display to complete these things later. And that does have a factor of luck playing into it as well. That's based on the way that the gnomes to recruit are going to come out and the missions to complete are going to come out. That's going to absolutely make a difference to it, and sometimes you're going to end up with really difficult circumstances based on that ordering, but it's certainly not entirely down to that, and I think that it was a really fun way of playing it. I think that's the main focus is that multiplayer game, is that interactive multiplayer game. But hopefully just the solo playthrough will give you an idea of that interplay as well, even though it's not in action, just in a game against the two dummy players. But they're certainly as much of a challenge, if not more of a challenge, than the real players would be. But yeah, watch the playthrough if you haven't already, and see if you would be interested in Pact. Because yeah, it's a very different kind of interaction in games. That's you don't need to be just stealing from players. Well, it's kind of stealing their cards, but they're getting a benefit from it as well. And yeah, it's very different and interesting the way that it's done. But yeah, the playthrough is there. I was going to finish then and got lost in another thought. The playthrough is there for you to find out whether or not it would pique your interest. Thank you very much for watching this though, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye everyone.